We find ourselves in Qatar for round 6, and Red Bull enter the second half of the season still scratching their heads as to why their power units have proven so unreliable this season. Speculation around Verstappen's place in the field next year has ramped up after rumours have swept the paddock of the reigning world champion entering conversations with rival teams. Toyota meanwhile will be riding high heading into the weekend after Benjamin Zvezky's surprise podium last time out in Silverstone. The team will be looking to replicate that pace for both drivers in this weekend's Sprint and Grand Prix. Ferrari, on the other hand, will be hurting after losing what could have been another great result in Great Britain, where the Scuderia drivers ended up finishing P6 and P8 after running first and second in the early stages of the Grand Prix. But that's all the news for now, so let's head to the grid rundown for the Qatar Sprint.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Sainz, Perez, Leclerc, Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, Benjamin, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Bottas, Ocon, Kobayashi, Stroll, Joe, Magnussen, Tsunoda, Albon, Hulkenberg, Ricciardo and Logan Sargent. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. The last few races have been a bit rough for them, unable to get a clean run. That's got to have some effect on their confidence, surely.
Certainly confidence is an important factor. And every time you're involved in an incident, it's not just the car you damage, but that confidence as well. But all the top racing drivers are able to tune that out when the race gets underway and focus on the job at hand.
Hello everyone and welcome to part 6 of our F1 23 Toyota Road to Glory career mode here for Qatar. We are here for the second sprint round of the season, a 10-lapper real quick before we head to the main Grand Prix here on the Saturday. We go to the 5 red lights and we are underway. We're starting from P9 in this one, and it is a good launch immediately against Oscar Piastri to our right hand side, who gets cut off by Verstappen as well, so that gives us an extra helping hand. But as we head into turn 1, we're going to go deep on the brakes. We almost lose the car there out in the marbles. There's a bit of front wing flying past us there, so someone in front of us has got some damage as I almost run on the back of the Red Bull. Piastri comes back at us here. It's a very, very feisty start to this sprint race as we go side by side with our fellow Aussie to the inside here. He's going to try and hold around the outside. We've also got Alonso looking for a way through behind us. We get the move done. We hold on to a P8 now, so we've made one position up here at the start of this sprint. Meanwhile, just behind us there, you can see Alonso now also going for a move on Oscar Piastri. Can he get the move done? Yes, he can. He should have the inside line. He should be able to get it done. No, Oscar holds it though, so neither of them wanted to give up this spot, but in the end, Alonso does get the spot off of our Aussie compatriot there as we look to the back. It looks like it's Charles Leclerc and the Ferrari with some damage as myself and Verstappen getting very held up there as we head into the final sector now. And you can see the gap ahead to Carlos Sainz is also opening quite a bit. Leclerc also started this sprint on the mediums. There's a good few cars that have started on the mediums. Most people on the soft side, so it'll be interesting to see how that strategy plays out differently with the medium runners potentially going a bit quicker towards the end and making up some spots. However, Leclerc may not get that opportunity as he's going to go right down to the back of the grid, and there are no pit stops in the sprint, so he's going to have a lot of work to do if he wants any chance of recovering at least a half decent position here for the Grand Prix. But either way, as we head on to lap 2, we are right on the back of Verstappen. Can we go for a move? Not quite. We have to just tuck back in behind again, although he has a mistake there on the exit of the corner, which allows us to the inside for turn 2. Can we get the move done on the Red Bull for P6 here for a good few points to our name, and not quite able to get it done. Verstappen gets ahead, and now Alonso to our inside as well is going to sneak 7th place off of us here potentially. He goes to our inside to try to hold the outside line. Can we get it done? Breaking deep into the hairpin, but he's going to go deeper because he's on that outside line, and he's going to get the better exit there. You can see, unfortunately, just didn't quite get the run out of the corner that I needed, and so we're back down to P8. 1 point paying position for us, still 1 point also, 1 position, sorry, also from where we started in P9, and so for now we just settle for P8. However, as we head now to the start of lap number 3, we're going to have the slipstream, no DRS just yet. That gets enabled now heading on to the 3rd lap of the sprint, but you can look at the straight line speed. So very clearly I've got a more aero dependent setup on for this Grand Prix, but it doesn't really help with overtaking. Luckily, we were still able to get the move done either way there, back into P7. This was at the same time, though, further back, Kobayashi's down in 15th, so he's lost a spot since the start of the sprint. However, he's now trying to gain it back on Esteban Ocon in the Alpine to the outside of turn 1. Again, this is the same time as I made the move on Alonso. Can he hold a position on the Alpine? He does get it done there into P14 for now, so hopefully he can gain a few more spots. You can see some cars battling ahead, and so he is still a part of that battle. Meanwhile, as we head to the end of lap number 3 now, onto lap number 4, Lando Norris actually leads the way in this sprint. However, he's got a few cars behind him here, some very quick cars. George Russell especially looking very angry for that lead position in the Mercedes to the inside of turn 1. Can Lando hold it around the outside, though we just saw Kobayashi do? It doesn't look like he might, although he does bring it back as they head into the second corner. Deep on the brakes, he's just got his nose ahead, but it'll be a better exit for the Mercedes as they head through turn 3 into turn 4. Is George just enough ahead? Not quite. Lando will hold it, so he's not giving this up as you would expect, but in the end, George does get the move done into P1, and Hamilton and the other Mercedes sitting right in behind him as well. So it looks like Lando could be losing that second position if he doesn't get himself back into the lead very shortly as we head now to the end of lap 4, and that's exactly what's happening. Lewis Hamilton all over the back of Norris with the DRS as well. Lando also had DRS, but Hamilton gets the move done. Now Hamilton almost goes for a move on his teammate as well for the lead of the sprint, but in the end thinks better of it and just tucks back in behind his teammate, and he'll save that for another lap, another occasion to try and get that position off of George Russell. Meanwhile, Piastri got back ahead of Fernando Alonso as well, so a good bit of chopping and changing going on here in this sprint. You can see on lap number 5.
Okay, some information on Norris. They seem to have an issue.
And so Mark, our engineer, they're just letting us know that Norris actually with some sort of issue, so we might see him falling down the field after such a good start for him to be leading here. And you can see here on lap number 5, he's got Perez and Sainz in behind him. Perez is looking for a way through as he was getting held up behind the McLaren, but the Ferrari takes the opportunity to dive to the inside of the final corner on the Red Bull, but he doesn't quite get the exit he wants, so Perez will pull alongside the McLaren. They get himself up into P3, and Sainz as well, you would think, would also try to find a way through, and he does into P4. Meanwhile, the two Mercedes going to battle there as Hamilton gets himself up into the lead of the sprint. So still, halfway through this sprint, lots of dicing going on here. So it looks like Qatar is a good track for the AI to battle here. And yeah, it should be an exciting end to this sprint with everyone sort of converging on each other at the moment. You can see Lando falling back through the field at the moment, although I say that Sainz going very slowly. It's an engine failure for the Ferrari. It was looking so good for a potential podium even, as he was battling with Perez there for 3rd and 4th. And so yeah, the Ferrari out of the Grand Prix. Leclerc technically out of the Grand Prix. He's 16 seconds back from the field, down in last place. So there's going to be no points in a big job for the Ferraris in the Grand Prix. And there is Lando Norris just a couple corners later, also with an engine failure. So two engine failures in pretty much 2 corners in the sprint here. What on earth is going on? Is it maybe just a bit too hot? Are the engines working too hard around here? 2 different manufacturers for those power units as well. So very, very concerning for everyone in this field at the moment. As you can see, confirmation Lando is out, and the safety car is deployed. That could shake things up a little bit. There's not many laps left in this sprint, especially after this couple laps under safety car are gone as well. So yeah, we're going to have only 2 laps to go here when this safety car comes in. So no DRS for the rest of this sprint race. You can see we go for a good exit here as the safety car comes in at the end of lap number 8, heading on to lap number 9. But I'm frustratingly not allowed to pass Verstappen until the start-finish line. And by the time we get there, the straight line speed of everyone around us with the less draggy setups is too much for us to get the move done on the Red Bull. You can see it's another mistake on the exit of turn 1 for Verstappen. This time, though, unfortunately, unable to get the move done into P4. But hopefully we can just stick with the Red Bull as we head on to the final lap of the sprint now. Verstappen's going to go for a move on his teammate Perez here for P3, the final podium spot for this sprint. Heading on to the final lap, there's a bit of contact between the teammates there. So nothing left to chance between those guys. They are fighting for these positions. They do not care. Red Bull is pretty much out of constructors at this point. They've had such a shocking season for both drivers, especially Verstappen though. So they are free to fight by the looks of it. Unfortunately, we weren't quite able to get a move done on Perez, although while he has the bad momentum from being passed by Verstappen, we're going to take the opportunity to dive it to the inside of the hairpin there. Very opportunistic move to go for a potential P4, and we get the exit there into P4, and Perez back down to P5. I doubt we'll be able to get anything off of Verstappen. He's very quick in that Red Bull, especially with the little bit of clean air he's got now to the Mercedes. It looks like it'll be a struggle as we cut to the end of lap 10, and he's going to be Lewis Hamilton, the championship leader, to come around the final corner, and he'll take the win for the Qatar sprint here and get himself some more decent points. Russell finishes off the 1-2 for Mercedes at the sprint here, and Verstappen will go third. Myself, P4, a very, very good finishing position for us here in this sprint race. We could have obviously been better, but I couldn't have asked for much better in the Toyota. We're still technically just sort of front of the midfield car, but to be dicing it with the Red Bulls in this one was very, very good. And very indicative of a potentially good Grand Prix to come up. Kobayashi also did very well to get himself to P11, so he's got himself a good starting position for the Grand Prix. He's only one spot away from scoring points in the main race. But yeah, let's get to the grid rundown for the Grand Prix.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and starting next to them is George Russell. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Benjamin, Perez, Oscar Piastri, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Gasly, Bottas, Kobayashi, Magnussen, Ocon, Joe, Tsunoda, Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, Albon, Sargent, Leclerc, Norris, and Carlos Sainz will start from the back of the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. Anthony Davidson also joins me in the commentary box today. Let's talk about Benjamin. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Alright, so here we sit in P4 for the Qatar Grand Prix. A very good starting position for us, and it'll be interesting to see how the 2 Ferraris and Lando Norris try to find their way through the field, because they'll be very quick and very desperate to get some good points after their shocking sprint that they had with engine failures and just poor luck in general as we get underway for the formation lap. Kobayashi also hopefully will be able to score some points in this one. Another double point scoring position would be really good off of the back of a very good Silverstone weekend for us, and just see our teammate sort of show what he's got still in this season. But yeah, this should be a very interesting race. We know the tyre wear around Qatar is very, very high, not just in the game, even in real life. It was causing problems, and so it'll be interesting to see how it plays up here in the game with our new team, with just the incredible storyline that we've got building up at the moment. A big championship charge for Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen very eager to get some good results after the shocking season that he's had so far. And just a whole lot building up to this Qatar Grand Prix and the rest of the season as we go to the 5 red lights now. How long are we going to get held? It's not long as we are underway for the Qatar Grand Prix, and it's a great getaway for us. We jump Verstappen, we jump Hamilton, we're right in the slipstream of George Russell as well. Can we get past the Mercedes to potentially take the lead? We almost run up the back of the Mercedes there through turn 1, but that has allowed Lewis Hamilton and the other Mercedes to get to our inside for turn 2, and we just get a bit of understeer there, and Hamilton, the championship leader, is through back in a second. So we're in P3 for now. We've gained 1 position on Max Verstappen. How long can we hold back the charging bulldoze? We cut to the end of the first lap, and unbelievably, Charles Leclerc has once again got front wing damage on the first lap, and he's going to have to pit and fall way back behind the field. So in the sprint and the Grand Prix, some shocking luck there for Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari as we head now to the end of lap 3, heading on to lap 4. It's actually Sergio Perez in the Red Bull that's coming past us, so he's got ahead of Verstappen there in between lap 1 and 3, and he's come flying past us. I imagine Verstappen won't be long after. Can I try and stay on the back of the Red Bull though? It's a little twitch on the rear for Perez, and so he's going to be at a disadvantage down this little run here towards the double right-hander. We get our nose to the inside. He's going to try and hold the outside position. He has a big wobble there through the corner. I try and hold it, but in the end, he just has enough to get ahead. You can see I sort of go middle of the track there just to sort of dissuade Verstappen from going for any dives as we head now to the end of lap number 4. We'll have DRS, we'll have overtake mode, we've got the slipstream. Can we go for a move back onto the podium positions? He goes defensive, so we're going to have to go to the outside here for turn 1. It's going to be the long way around if we want to try and get this position back off of the Red Bull. We hold it, we go around. There's a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact as Perez comes flying through as we go towards turn 2 as well. Unfortunately, he just sort of comes across us there, and I backed out of it because I'd rather stay in stay in P4 instead of getting front wing damage for no reason there. As we look here a little bit later on lap 5, Kobayashi for a move into the very fast flat out right-handers. You don't usually see a move there. Kobayashi on the mediums as well, and he gets the move done on Ocon. So it's the same sort of situation as the sprint where we've got some cars starting on the soft, some on the mediums. It'll be interesting to see later on in the stints how those different tyre strategies work out as we cut to the end of lap number 6 here. We are very close to the back of Sergio Perez. So once again with DRS and overtake mode, we're not even really have time for slipstream, but we fly past the Red Bull there into turn 1 and don't even have to really fight it. We're back on the racing line before we get into the corner. Meanwhile, at the same time as we were making that move on Perez, Kobayashi is also making his move on the other Alpine of Pierre Gasly into P10 to get himself into the points paying positions. And hopefully that's sort of indicative of the pace that he has and that the Toyota has here at the Qatar Grand Prix. And he can maybe go chase after Valtteri Bottas for some more valuable points here for us as we head now to the end of lap number 7. Verstappen going for a move on his teammate to get back into P4 for now as they both have DRS on myself. So he gets the move done on Perez. Can he get a move done on us? He's going to try it. He's going to go to the outside of us through turn 1, but he's not quite able to get the move done. He was just a little bit too far back. However, that does show how aggressive he is looking to potentially get this move done on us. You can see he's all on the back of us. So we have a little twitch there on the exit of the corner. And just like with Perez, like what we did to Perez, he's going to come to our inside here for the double right. Except he got a bit further up there under brakes. I'm going to try and hold it around the outside. Can we get it done? We'll have the inside for the hairpin. But like we saw in the sprint with Alonso, that does mean Verstappen will have the better exit. And yeah, again, we actually lose the rear a bit this time, trying to get on the power a bit earlier. And yeah, Verstappen does get the move done into P3. So he gets back into his starting position, but both the Mercedes are gone. They're 5 seconds up the road pretty much from us. You can see Russell leads the way ahead of Hamilton, so he's got the lead off of his teammate. But Hamilton, who's on a very big championship charge at the moment, these two are championship rivals, really. However, Hamilton does have a good lead in the championship, but I'm sure Hamilton's not going to just say, yeah, George, have this win. Not a hope. He's going to go and take the lead there into turn 1 on lap number 8 to potentially go for even more points and building that championship lead. Also, Kobayashi going for a move on Bottas onto lap number 9 there and getting himself into 9th place to get himself an extra point to his name should he be able to finish there. And hopefully he can chase down the pack ahead as well as we head now to lap number 10. Here comes Sergio Perez and the other Red Bull. You can see Verstappen's taken off and Perez flies past us and Alonso tries to follow him through there. Very cheeky from the Spaniard, the two-time champion. Can he hold it into turn number 2? He's going to go a bit deeper on the brakes. I try to hold it to get the better exit out of the corner, but the Aston Martin with that little bit of better straight line speed, can he get the move done? Yes, he can. Unfortunately, just not quite enough speed on our end there down the straight to hold it alongside. So we're back down to P6 now after being in P2 at the opening stages of this race. Hopefully we can stay with this battle there and potentially get these couple positions back. I'd say the top 3 are well and truly gone, but potentially a P4 is still on the cards as Lando Norris moves himself now into the top 10 on lap number 11. So it's only really taken him 10 laps to get from, I believe he was in 21st or 20th up into P10. So the McLaren looking very, very quick, especially Lando's McLaren, that is, as we head now to the end of lap number 11, going for a re-overtaking maneuver here on Sergio Perez and Fernando Alonso. I doubt we'll get the Red Bull, but you can see we try and close up the Aston. We just don't quite have the straight line speed, and so Alonso is going to go for the move on Sergio Perez. They're going to go side by side through turn 1. There may have been a bit of wheel contact there, and you can see I'm weaving around trying to find a move, a potential overtaking spot for this position, for both the positions really, as they continue to go side by side here. So both of these guys really going at it, neither of them giving up through the double right hand. Are they going to give it up? No, there's more wheel-to-wheel contact there between them. We'll head into the hairpin. Alonso almost loses the car, and from that poor momentum, I'm going to try and force my nose in there. Alonso luckily sees us, and can we get the better exit out of the corner? Yes, we can, and we tell Mark we're going to box this lap for a set of medium tyres. You can see in the bottom right hand corner, we do have that tyre wear symbol because these tyres are very worn out. You can see Perez continues on the softs. Verstappen is in though, and behind us, Fernando Alonso also into the pit lane. So is Lando Norris a bit further back. So a few cars in the pit lane. One of the Mercedes is as well. I'm not too sure which it is. It's Lewis Hamilton. You can see we're all on to the mediums as we exit the pit lane now. Looking behind us, Lando Norris has actually jumped Fernando Alonso there. So very good pit stop there from the McLaren guys. As Leclerc just ahead of us there on the soft compound tyres. So you can see he still has to make another pit stop, by the way, as well, in case you couldn't notice. He's got the fastest lap. He's also on the set of soft compound tyres, which will not last to the end from when he started in the Grand Prix. As Joe actually retires there. So another engine failure here, this time in the Grand Prix. That's two Ferrari engines this weekend that have gone bang. And in case you wanted to have a look at the tyre difference between softs and mediums from the start of this Grand Prix, although Leclerc got onto his softs on lap 2, look at the speed difference through just the right-hander there. We are right on the back of the Ferrari already, so hopefully he doesn't hold us up too much here through this very fast third sector that we were about to head into. As you can see, we cut to the end of the lap here. We are unfortunately still stuck behind the Ferrari. We weren't quite able to get a move done, and Piastri makes the most of that opportunity, of that poor momentum that we had. He goes around our outside of the final corner. Fernando Alonso also right on the back of us here. Unfortunately, no DRS for myself as we go flying down towards turn 1. And that's Sergio Perez exiting the pit lane. So for a moment there, we were nearly 4 wide as we go back around the outside of Piastri, back into P8 we sit in at the moment. A couple cars still yet to pit, so this isn't the final positions, but we do luckily get that position off the McLaren at the moment, and we were able to undercut Perez, so that just goes to show how good the undercut is around here. Kobayashi now at the end of lap 14 pits from the lead of the Grand Prix, starting on those medium tyres. Obviously he's going to go further than all the soft tyre runners, but there he goes into the pit lane. And you can see here it's been a very quick lap for myself as we head into the final corner of lap 14. You can see we set a purple first sector, a personal best second, and obviously we had that run down the main straight where we nearly went 4 wide. So we had the slipstream off the McLaren, and we set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. It's our first time setting a fastest lap in this career mode. As Kobayashi exits the pit lane, you can see he's not too far behind us. He is back down to 14th, unfortunately. Obviously getting the massively undercut there. However, he's on the hard compound tyres, and so it should be the same as the first stint. Whereas we get towards the end of this Grand Prix now, Kobayashi should be the fastest of the lot of us on that harder compound tyres. We now head on to lap number 16. Here comes Lando Norris for a move on us in the McLaren, up in to P number 4. So he has made an incredible recovery in this Grand Prix from the very, very back of the grid up into 4th place now. It's a 4-second gap to Verstappen. So again, I'd say the podium positions are out of question unless one of those top 3 have some sort of engine issue again, like we have seen a couple times this season. We go back ahead of Lando into turn 1, heading on to lap 17. He tries to hold it around the outside, but not quite able to there. And so for now, we are back into 4th place, although we run a little wide there through turn 2, luckily able to hold on, but again, letting it on to lap number 18. And it seems to sort of be a back and forth situation here as Lando comes back past, although Perez now tries to get his way through as well in the Red Bull, and he's going to hold it around the outside there. Can we hold the outside of turn 2? We seem to struggle with that. We get on the marbles a little bit. Just unfortunately, we just nearly lose the rear end as we try to turn in. And so in the end, we're not able to get the move done on the Red Bull back into P5. And in fact, Alonso also sneaks his way through. So in the course of a few corners, we've gone from 4th back to 7th. And so we've got a bit of work to do if we want to try and get ourselves back into a good point-bank position. This was at the same time as all of that, though. Kobayashi going for a move on Esteban Ocon to get himself back into P11. Can he get the move around the outside of turn 1 on the hard compound tyres? He'll have the inside for turn 2 here. He's also right in behind Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari, and he does get it done ahead of the Alpine. The next target on his list is Carlos Sainz for P10 as we go around the final corner here. Piastri now trying to find his way through. So while I was thinking maybe I have a chance to try and move forward again heading onto this lap, we're actually going to fall even further back as the second McLaren works his way back through. And we are back down to P8 here as up ahead Lando Norris and Perez battle away. Perez gets himself up into P4. This is at the same time as well. Kobayashi going for a move on the Ferrari of Sainz. Just to go to show the pace of the Toyota around the Qatar circuit, Kobayashi gets a move done on the Ferrari, meaning once again there are no Ferraris in the points paying position. So Ferrari are really struggling around here. I don't know what the deal is there. They had an engine failure. Maybe they've had to play around with the engine a little bit or something after the engine failure in the sprint and that's why they're struggling. I'm not too sure, but as we head on to lap 21 now, look at these two McLarens going for a move here into turn 1 at the end of onto lap 21 actually. Norris for a move on Perez, Piastri for a move on Alonso. Can Norris get it done on the Red Bull? Yes, he does, back into P4. Piastri, can he get the move done on the Aston Martin? Yes, he can, up into P6, so the McLaren's looking very good around here, as I'm also all over the back of Fernando Alonso as well. We've also got Lance Stroll just in behind us as well, so we've got to be careful of that second Aston potentially demoting us down to P9 as we come around the final corner. It's a mistake for the two-time champion in the Aston Martin, so we're going to pull alongside immediately here with the DRS. He also has DRS at the moment, so you can see as we pull alongside, he actually starts pulling ahead again. We have the most aero-heavy setup, I believe, out of everyone around here, just judging by the straight line speed. However, we do get the move done there through turn 1, back up into P7 as we head now into lap 26. End of lap 26, start of lap 27. Here comes Lewis Hamilton to try and retake the lead off of his teammate with just a couple laps to go, really 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix. The two Mercedes dueling it out for the 1-2. They've got nearly a 6.5 second gap on Verstappen, so they can afford to battle a bit. But Russell holds on to the spot. As you can see, we now head on to lap 28, so a lap later from that Mercedes battle. You can see, look how worn out these tyres are. That's why Kobayashi's on the hards to potentially counter this and get some more positions. But we're going to go for a move on Oscar Piastri for P6. Can we get it done through turn 1? Yes, we do. It's a 2.5 second gap to Perez, though. So unfortunately, that P4, P5 position is a bit outside of our grasp at the moment. And we're just going to have to battle away with Piastri for this P6 and 7 if we want to hold on to it as we head on to the final lap of the Grand Prix. Now the two Astons battling away. Lance Stroll trying to get the better of his much more experienced, much more seasoned teammate here into turn 1. Can he get the move done on Alonso? No, he doesn't. Alonso showing that experience around the outside of turn 1, inside for turn 2. Holds on to P8 for now as we head to the end of the Grand Prix. The final corner of the final lap. George Russell around the corner. Unless Hamilton can drag him to the line and get the position, George Russell will get his first win of the season here in Qatar, ahead of his championship leader and his teammate Lewis Hamilton there in P2 as we now head into the final corner. Piastri sends it to the inside. I don't know where he got that pace from, but it's going to be a drag race between myself and the McLaren. Unfortunately, he has the DRS, so we're going to drag race to the line, and unfortunately, Oscar Piastri just nips us there to P6, and we finish up in P7.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
And that's the checkered flag. What an effort from the team here in Qatar. And a fully deserved victory too. And talk to me. What do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners.
So here we are with the results for the Qatar Grand Prix. George Russell takes the win ahead of his teammate and championship leader Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen finishes in P3, 7.1 seconds behind the two Mercedes. Very dominant race for those guys. They've been very strong this season. Lando Norris finishes up P4 after an incredible recovery from 21st on the grid. Perez 5th in the other Red Bull. Piastri finishes 6th, just beating us to the line. So frustrating, but he just got there ahead of us in P7. Then the two Astons in 8th and 9th, and Kobayashi rounds out the top 10. Very good to see our teammate also get points in this Grand Prix. In terms of the overall results, George Russell walks away with the most points out of Qatar ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Verstappen 3rd, so very similar, in fact, the exact same top 3 from the Grand Prix. Then Perez 4th, Norris 5th, myself 6th, Piastri 7th, Alonso and Stroll again in 8th and 9th, and Kobayashi again in P10. So good to see both Toyotas here being able to score points. It was another good point scoring position for us Unfortunately, we weren't quite able to finish in P4 like we did in the sprint in the Grand Prix. That would have been a nice haul of points, but either way, 11 points in total over the course of the weekend is very, very good, and yeah, just always that little bit helps. Now, looking at the driver's standings, Hamilton leads the way by 20 points over George Russell, so next weekend in Canada, I believe it is, George Russell won't be able to overtake Lewis Hamilton in the championship no matter what. The most he can get is within 2 points. That's pretty much if Lewis scores no points and George gets fastest lap and the race win. Sainz sits third in the Ferrari after an abysmal weekend for that team. No points whatsoever over the sprint and Grand Prix. Perez is the highest, Red Bull in 4th, and then Verstappen in 6th, Norris 5th, Leclerc 7th. Myself, I'm in 8th on 41 points. An incredible haul of points in the last few rounds. Piastri 9th, and Alonso rounds out the top 10. Kobayashi down in 13th. He's on 5 points so far this season, so good to see points are possible. And Kobayashi hasn't even really been slower than me. We've been very, very close on pace. It's just been a case of there's always been those few cars in between us. I guess that's just sort of what happens when you're in the midfield. You know, in Silverstone, we were in the same battle pack, except I was in the podium and he was down in the just the slightly lower parts of the top 10, and so there is a massive points difference in those finishing positions. So there is pace between us. Kobayashi just needs to hopefully get that little bit of luck that he needs to be towards the front of the battle pack with me. In terms of the constructors, Mercedes, as I said, absolutely dominant this season. They lead by 96 points over Red Bull. Ferrari are in 3rd in a battle with McLaren for that 3rd and 4th position. Then ourselves for Toyota, we are in 5th. Still sort of battling with Aston Martin. We've got a nice little gap now, a little bit of a cushion, but one poor weekend, one more engine failure like we've had in Imola or in Austria, and we are immediately sucked back into that battle with Aston. Alpine sit in 7th on 7 points, Williams in 8th on 2 points, and then Haas in 9th on just 1 point that they've scored so far this season. And then AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo still yet to score points this season. But yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this video and this series so far, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to see more content like this in the future, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.